Last video we talked about the Toba theory, the idea that a supervolcano eruption 74,000 years ago nearly wiped out humanity, and we looked at why the archaeological evidence has quietly been dismantling that story for the last 15 years. But at the end of the video, I mentioned something that I said was even crazier. A study published in 2023 suggesting that humanity didn't nearly vanish 74,000 years ago, it nearly vanished 900,000 years ago, during a period so empty in the fossil record that we barely knew anything was living here at all. That's what we're getting into today. In 2023, a geneticist named Wang-Ji Hu, I hope I said that right, stares at a dataset and notices something that shouldn't be there: a gap. Not a small one, a gap in human genetic history stretching back nearly 1 million years. A window of time where the diversity in our DNA just drops off a cliff. He runs the numbers again. Same result. He brings in a team, researchers from China, Italy, the US. They build new computational models specifically designed to trace ancient population sizes through modern DNA. They call it FITCOAL. They ran it on a genetic data from over 3,000 people across the world, and what comes back was crazy. Around 930,000 years ago, our ancestors nearly disappeared. Not from a volcano, not from a single event anyone can name, they just dwindled. Down to roughly 1,280 breeding individuals, and they stayed that way for over 100,000 years. Now the question isn't just what nearly killed us. The question is, why does almost no physical evidence of it exist? Here's something paleoanthropologists have known and quietly struggled with for decades. If you map the fossil record of early humans, there's a strange emptiness between that 900,000 and 800,000 years ago window. Not zero fossils, but close. Before that window, you have Homo erectus. Homo erectus. That's a funny word. It's like homo, you get it. That's the laugh cue. Anyway, before that window you have Homo erectus, upright, tool-using, widespread across Africa and parts of Asia. After it, you start seeing the emergence of a more sophisticated lineage, the ancestors of modern humans, Neanderthals and Denisovans. But during that window, almost nothing. A handful of fragmentary finds, disputed classifications, gaps so wide that researchers have long debated whether a completely unknown human species lived and died during this period without leaving more than a whisper. Now, one little thing that I want to note is if you know about paleontology and archaeology and everything with finding, bones and fossils, they're always finding new humans all the time. There's always a new one. There's a Futurama episode on it that's really funny, and it pretty much puts it into perspective perfectly. Anyway, for a long time, the assumption was the fossil record is just incomplete. Like previously stated in the last video, Africa's freaking huge, dude. Preservation is difficult. We haven't dug in the right places yet. And that might still be partly true. But the 2023 study suggests something more crazy. Maybe the fossil record is thin because there just wasn't much to fossilize. Maybe our ancestors were just genuinely, terrifyingly rare. So how do you find a population crash that left almost no bones behind? You read it in the survivor's DNA. Every time a population shrinks dramatically, it loses genetic diversity, variants, mutations, the subtle differences that accumulate over thousands of generations. When the population recovers, it rebuilds diversity, but it can never fully recover what was lost. The missing diversity leaves a permanent mark, like a scar in the genome. The FITCOAL model that Hu and his team built is specifically designed to detect those scars. It works backward through modern human DNA, essentially running evolution in reverse, to reconstruct what ancient population sizes must have looked like to produce the genetic patterns we see today. And what it found was the bottleneck that was unlike anything previously identified. Starting around that 930,000 years ago mark, the ancestral human population dropped from roughly 100,000 individuals down to approximately 1,200 breeding adults. To put that in perspective, that's smaller than most university freshman classes. And it stayed that way for roughly 117,000 years. 117,000 years. That's longer than modern Homo sapiens have existed as a species. Our entire recorded history, every war, every civilization, every invention, fits inside a fraction of the time our ancestors spent teetering on the edge of oblivion. Now here's where the conflict comes in. because not everyone is convinced. Several prominent paleoanthropologists push back on the study almost immediately. The core objection: population genetic models are built on assumptions. Assumptions about mutation rates, generation times, migration patterns. Change those assumptions and you change the numbers. Chris Stringer at the Natural History Museum in London, one of the most respected voices in human evolution, called the findings intriguing but speculative. He pointed out that the fossil record, thin as it is, doesn't obviously reflect a near extinction event of the magnitude. Now, I'm not a scientist or a paleoanthropologist or anything. I don't know, it sounds like a lot of them are gone though, like based on that. But maybe I'm stupid for that, I didn't go to school for it, so what do I know? Now, others noted that the FITCOAL model uses only living human DNA, meaning it can't directly account for the populations that did go extinct, like the Neanderthals and the Denisovans. Those lost lineages could be distorting the picture in ways that are hard to fully correct for it. So we have a genetic signal screaming that something catastrophic happened, and a fossil record that mostly shrugs. Which one would you trust? Now let's talk about what was actually happening on Earth 900 years ago. 900,000 years ago, a lot further, because the environmental context is very, very important here. Geologists call it the Mid-Pleistocene Transition. I think I said that right. Pleistocene? The Mid-Pleistocene? Something. That's probably right. Look it up. I don't care. Around 1.2 million to 700,000 years ago, the Earth's ice age cycle shifted dramatically. Before this period, ice ages came and went roughly every 41,000 years. After it, they started cycling every 100,000 years and became far more severe. Severe? I'm just butchering words this whole thing. And became far more severe. In other words, right in the middle of the proposed bottleneck, the climate of the entire planet was reorganizing itself. Ice sheets expanded, sea levels dropped, vast grasslands in Africa, the habitat early humans depended on, contracted and fragmented. It wasn't a smoking gun, or I guess a volcano. Go check out that video, by the way, links in the description. But it's the most plausible environmental driver anyone has identified. The authors of the 2023 study suggest that a combination of prolonged climate instability, habitat loss, and possibly the extinction of large prey animals may have slowly strangled the human population over tens of thousands of years. No single catastrophe, just an increasingly hostile world tightening its grip. It's like a reference to the last video. Now here's what I think is the most remarkable part of this story. The population that survived, those roughly 1,200 individuals, didn't just hang on. At some point during or after the bottleneck, something changed. The researchers estimate that around 813,000 years ago, the population began recovering. And not just recovering, expanding, diversifying, eventually splitting into the lineages that would become us, the Neanderthals and the Denisovans. The study authors believe this recovery may be directly linked to is the emergence of a critical piece of technology. It's time for you to guess. Do you have an answer? Something that would help in an ice age 813,000 years ago? It's fire. Controlled use of fire, baby. For cooking, warmth, protection. It appears in the archaeological record in this same broad window. If a small, isolated group of our ancestors figured out how to reliably harness fire, it would have changed everything. Food became more digestible, yielding more energy, cold environments became survivable, predators became manageable. A population of 1,200 people with fire is a fundamentally different proposition than 1,200 people without it. When you think about it, we may owe our entire existence to whoever first looked at a burning branch and went, oh, fire, I use. What I keep coming back to is the silence. 117,000 years of survival, and we have almost nothing to show for it. A few disputed fossils, a faint scar in our DNA, and a computational model working backward through millions of data points to find the shape of a catastrophe. Those people didn't know they were the last. They didn't know the world had nearly moved on without them. They just woke up every day in a shrinking world, and they kept going. And the fact that we're still sitting here, you watching this, me making it, means they didn't stop. Once again, humans freaking persist. Now, the 2023 study is still contested, the debate is very much alive, but whether the specific numbers hold up or get refined by future research, the broader truth seems increasingly solid. Humanity has been to the edge more than once. And every time, something, luck, adaptation, fire, stubbornness, brought us back. Now, if this is the kind of thing that keeps you up at night in the best possible way, hit that subscribe button. This channel exists for exactly that feeling. Now, next video, we're going into the other humans who were alive specifically during this recovery period, the Denisovans, a species we only discovered in 2008, although there is also a Wikipedia thing that says 2010, so I really don't know. It says Russian guy in 2008 and then 2010, so 2008 to 2010, but Denisovans are going to be the next one. They're a species we've never seen a complete skull of, and a species whose DNA is still shaping the bodies of millions of people alive right now. It's gonna be a wild one. Can't wait to drop it to you. I love you all. Have a great rest of your day, and bye-bye.